Good evening, everybody. This is Oceanus, and if you have been keeping up with the news, you will have heard that there was another assassination attempt on the president. Now, I must just say, now, this is a really big problem. We should not have to deal with three assassination attempts in under 3 years. So, the assassin, his name is the attempted assassin, I should say, because he was bad at assassinating. His name is Cole Allen. He's from California. He wrote a manifesto. What is this manifesto, you may ask? Well, here's where I'm going to read it. Hello, everybody. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Yes, you did. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. You're not sorry. If you were sorry, you wouldn't have attempted this. If you were sorry, you would have turned back. I apologized to my parents for saying that I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. Most Wanted, you're already caught, dude. You didn't get to the wanted part. I apologized to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. I hope you don't go to the ER. I hope that you just sit there in that little burrito thing. I apologize to all the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. You're not sorry. As I said before, you are not sorry. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, and to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, and you shall receive none. But if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincere apologies. On why I did any of this, I am a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me, and I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and a traitor to coat my hands with this crime. Again, where's the evidence for this, and where's the evidence for this? There is none. But it's being spewed out by the media, so idiots like this believe it. Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing to a long time ago, but this is the first real opportunity I have had to do something about it. Next page. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Yes, we could tell you're not military. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest, and I can tell you why this isn't that Mr. Cash Patel is not listed here in a moment. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary, and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible, aka I hope they're wearing body armor because a center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't. Well, they were, and you didn't get past them, so haha. Hotel security, not targets, if at all possible, aka unless they shoot at me, which they wouldn't have because hotel staff aren't going to have guns. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary on the basis that most people chose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor and others complicit, but I really hope it doesn't come to that. No. Listen here. You say these people aren't targets, but the fact is, and you even admit yourself, they would have become targets. All of these people, as soon as you enter that building with that gun, all of these people would have had an obligation to stop you, and thus they would have become targets. The reason why, and this is the other thing. Say he got past all these people here. Say he got past all the hotel security, the Capitol Police, National Guard, hotel employees. Where would he have gone? Okay, he would have gone into into the place where the event was being held with the guests. How would he know the seating, other than the president who was on stage, who's obvious target? How would he know the seating arrangement of the cabinet officials, of the administration officials? not including Mr. Patel. He would not, because they were all wearing suits. Everybody's wearing suits and ties. It would just have been a sea of, oh, these near identical looking people, and he would have just started blasting. Because had he gotten in there, had he shot the president, in any way, shape, or form, all these people who he got past would be gunning for him into this room, and he just have to start shooting and taking out whoever he can, whether they were administration officials or guests. And let me tell you what, the reason why he's not including Kash Patel in this list, it's nothing, not because he's pro Kash Patel, mind you, it's because Kash Patel is one of the only non-white members of the administration. That's it. His entire target list are the white members of the administration that are there. Kash Patel's Indian. This is an anti-white attack. And like that's the only explanation as to why Kash Patel wasn't included on this list. Because who'd you have there? You had Attorney General Blanche, you had Markwayne Mullen, RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth. He probably was gunning for Pete Hegseth too. Because I think Pete Hegseth, after Donald Trump, is the most hated person in this administration. And then RFK Jr. is third. But, I mean, look at how this reads. This reads like a person who got all of his talking points from the mainstream media, from libslop politicians. Like, this is if take away the shooting aspect, take away the assassination aspect, you could find any of this being talked about by Hakeem Jeffries, Ilhan Omar, Hassan Piker, Destiny, Vosh, Kyle Kulinski, and on and on and on. Like, he even says the guests were not targets, the guests being the mainstream media who gave him these talking points. But again, they would have become targets had he gotten there, because he wouldn't know between who's media and who's not, because everyone was sitting in the big room. And look at this freaking look. This is the funniest comment here. How this MFer felt writing this. I agree. That's exactly how he felt. The freaking syndrome Reddit. Uh, yeah. Oh, look at this idiot being anti-pedophile is Reddit now, I guess. Well, here's the thing. It's not about being anti-pedophile. It's about accusing the president of the United States of being a pedophile without evidence. You can't just say, "Oh, so and so's a pedophile," and then any and all violence is acceptable against them just by way of you calling them a pedophile without going through the court procedures. That's not how that works. That is not how that works. Yeah, exactly. He even says, you're a pedophile, and he's garbage, you're saying shit. Yeah, exactly. You're just saying shit, bro. Like, they have... I don't know how in the world the freaking left wing, out of all people, have been able to co-opt the anti-pedophilia movement. Because their entire freaking movement is based on sexual degeneracy. Transgender kids? Is that not pedophilia? Freaking those freaking twerking boys at pride parades? Is that not pedophilia? But no, pedophilia is President Donald Trump, even though he has had there's been no proof into any of the allegations against him. And most of the allegations against him are just from political hits. They're freaking ridiculous. But anyways, let's keep going. Now, Christian Hines brought up a point here. The same people who have spent the last 15 months relentlessly treating "someone has to do it," who openly mocked Charlie Kirk's murder, and who celebrated J. Jones' election as AG of Virginia, now want you to believe that none of them would ever actually attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. This thing that I so desperately want isn't actually being attempted by me or by my own side. Who do you think you're fooling here? Exactly. You cannot have both sides of the talking out of both sides of your mouth. You can't say, "Oh, someone needs to do it to the president. Someone needs to oh yeah, Charlie Kirk deserved it," and then turn around and say, "Oh, it wasn't us who did that. It was a right winger." Even though, thank goodness they caught this guy alive and found his freaking Reddit manifesto. Because it just proves what we've all been saying, even though we shouldn't have to prove it because it's very freaking obvious. And I think Matt Walsh said something. Oh yeah. I know what he said. Because there are a few people on here who are stating that this is staged because of the stupid ballroom thing. I gotta find what he said. I meant to bookmark this. Because of the stupid ballroom thing. Because that's important. Well, and the ballroom is important, and I would go into it why into another video, but it's because of national security concerns or security concerns. Because let me tell you what, the ballroom, had this been held in the ballroom, which would have been built to Secret Service and military specifications, this wouldn't have happened. That's why the ballroom is in discourse. I'm trying to find this. Here it is. Just to be clear, the theory that leftists are running with is that the Trump administration somehow convinced a registered Democrat to volunteer to go to prison for the rest of his life so that they could use him as a patsy for a third-stage assassination attempt, one that, they apparently believe, was concocted mostly to justify building a White House ballroom that's already being built anyway. That's their theory of the case here. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Same thing with the frickin' what was his name? Um, Crooks in Butler, Pennsylvania. They're like, oh, he's actually a registered Republican, or it was all staged. Meanwhile, he got his head blown off by a Secret Service sniper. Dang, these guys must be really selfless. I can't imagine more selfless people than these guys willing to take a bullet for Donald Trump, of all people, just to let him prove a point. Because the other thing that's going on here is that these people who constantly say that Donald Trump is the stupidest man alive are also saying that somehow he's able to come up with these 3D mind games and to where these people just like shoot him in the head near his head and 1 inch away from his ear just for political gain. Yeah, I know. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to look at here is this. Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche says people on X are just as guilty as mainstream media of politically violent rhetoric, which led to the attempted assassination of President Trump. He says everyone on X is being overly critical and using names associated with President Trump with no evidence. Looks like massive censorship is coming. Well, let's see what he's actually saying here.
And many people in this room, if we're going to be honest about it, have done it as well. They're just as guilty as a lot of people on X. When you have reporters, when you have media just being overly critical and calling the president horrible names for no reason and without evidence, without proof, it shouldn't surprise us that this type of rhetoric takes place. If you look at what
No, I see what he's saying here. He isn't saying that the media is being critical. What he's saying is that they're doing these things like they're calling him freaking the second coming of Adolf Hitler, and then all these people are like, well, oh shoot, if he's actually the second coming of Adolf Hitler, I have to kill Hitler. I think he could have worded it a little bit better, but that's what he's trying to say here.
at what it appears that this defendant had in his past. We're talking about somebody who is college educated, who has a job, who is otherwise living his life. And we'll find out more about him, as I expect, in the coming days and weeks. But he chose to do what he did. And so our threat environment is, we are ready. I mean, I'm not going to go through what Director Patel just talked about with the way we responded. But this was something that we will always be prepared for, and it's sad that it has to happen, but it's not a new thing, unfortunately.
Okay. Yes, I don't see anything wrong with what he said. And here's the other thing that yes, there are people on X who are doing this. Who I see it all the time. I'm seeing a lot of people lamenting the fact that the would-be assassin was unsuccessful. I remember when I was in school, and there's this kid I knew who jokingly talked about taking out Obama, and literally the Secret Service was on his butt as, as as super quickly for a joke, mind you. This happened years ago. I don't recall the exact events of what happened, but it just went to show you that even joking about this, you couldn't even think about it. You couldn't even think about it because the Secret Service would have been on you because someone would have said something. But now it's just like I see going around here everything. I see people very publicly using their public names, public accounts, going like, "Oh shoot, I'm so shame it didn't happen." Yet I'm not seeing these people getting a visit from the Secret Service or any government agency. So why not? Why is it somehow that the standard that was the standard years ago is somehow no longer the standard? I get that you can't just like go interrogate everybody, but come on, until there's punishment for this, until there's punishment for these people, it's going to keep on happening. Like there needs to be a crackdown. And don't accuse me of being biased. I would say that if there were threats against any elected official, any president, regardless of political party. But the thing is, it's only happened one way so far, and it's happened more than three freaking times. I'm just, it's just really annoying. It's so annoying, and it needs to be. There needs to be examples made because it's just going to keep happening. If there's not. Like, in all honesty, I'm going to tell you my biggest criticism of Donald Trump here is that I think he's been too nice to these people. I think he is a very patient person, believe it or not. I think he's been very patient, even with all these attacks against him, even with the killing of a person who was close to him and his family, Charlie Kirk. And in the face of this right now, he is very patient, and they should be thanking God that he is. Because this could be way worse for the people who are doing this stupid shit. I mean, we'll see what happens, but anyway, I'm not, if you noticed, I've been a bit less active recently. I'm going through my last few weeks of university and I will be graduating in May. So I'm a bit busy at the moment, but I wanted to cover this because I think it was important. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and have a good night, everybody.